Trevor not
Trevor,
joining us, huh?
it is. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
gone for a. It's just gone for a quick drink.
All right,
Be
no
back.
problem.
Yeah, it'll be back. We're back. It's just we just finished the alien spaceship.
I know I just catch the last bit of it. I heard the story about the putty. What's it called again? Yeah,
Did you?
yeah, yeah.
Did you? All right. Yeah. Okay. So football referee segment. Yeah. Okay. So that's set up. Let me set up the Twitch. Twitch streaming. Um, so let me just log into Twitch so I can just turn off the volume. Twitch. How's Layla?
She's all right. Yeah, you know she is. She has good
Uh,
days and bad days.
ah, we need a new system, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw it. I saw it. I saw it need.
Yeah,
That's what we need. Yeah. Just trying to see how this is recording live.
there he is.
Is it back now,
He's back.
Back,
Trevor?
yeah. Hi, Tony.
Right, Trevor. How are you, mate?
All good. Yeah, I'm not bad. I had a touch of man flu last week, and I still haven't really shaken it off. So I've just had about a 2 minute exercise of blowing my nose because I'm still pretty blocked up. But you know me, like most blokes, we press on, don't we?
We
We don't
pressed
give
on
in
even
too
through all
easily.
these hard man flus that we get.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
Right.
Right, okay. Let's see. Right, so we've got
Yeah.
everyone. I've got everyone, and there's no echoing, so everything. So I just switch on the recording. Very cool. Ah, that's good. That's good. Right, so you wanna do the open introduction for us, please, Rob?
Yes, indeed. Welcome along to our Football Referee podcast, where we discuss all things football. I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv, and we also have Tony the Enforcer, who I call Tony.
hello everyone. How you doing? You all right?
Good stuff.
Yeah, so and myself, Hickens, and he calls me Cuz. Welcome to the football referee. Exciting football referee this episode, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just bear with me one
yes.
minute. Yeah. So, who saw Arsenal winning the I asked this question last week and everyone went quiet. And I said, well, I did see Arsenal winning it. So, thoughts. I'll start with you, bruv.
Yeah, I mean, they won it last night without kicking a ball, didn't they? That's the way these things can work sometimes. Um,
Mm.
there were. I saw a message supposedly from PGMOL Howard Webb saying congratulations to Arsenal for winning the Premier League. I'm only so glad that some of our terrible decisions contributed to your winning the Premier League. So I thought that was a bit harsh, but interestingly, and I don't want to throw a negative into this. Good luck to Arsenal. They haven't won it, I think, for 22 years. So it'll be great for their new generation of fans to have done that. So yeah, big congratulations to them. Interestingly, they hadn't had one red card this season, um, nor I think conceded a penalty. Now that, of
Mm.
course, gives ammunition, I suppose, to those who say, well, is there a bit of a big club syndrome thing going on? And all I would say is in the game the other night, where they beat Burnley 1-0, didn't they? Arguably, one of their players should have been sent off because he did a bit of a high kick on the leg, the side of the shin of one of the Burnley players. And again, it was a yellow card, and that was the VAR decision to stick with that. So you could argue that the big clubs do tend to seem to get some of the decisions, but no, I think that should take nothing away from Arsenal, and I think our podcast we should congratulate the team that's won it because, as people say, the Premier League doesn't lie.
Very true. The enforcer.
Where do I begin? um, like I said last week, same thing. Like I don't have a problem with Arsenal winning. It's the fans, and it just proved me right. They're just so insufferable at the moment, and I can't stand them. I really can't stand them. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Fairs. They finally did it. It took them 4 attempts. They won the league eventually with Arteta. First trophy in what, 6, 7 years. So at least they've won it. Great, but yeah, I don't know what to say. What else much about it, but yeah, it is what it is. Like the whole red card situation. Like I said, it makes no sense to me. Xavi Simmons did the exact same thing to Van Dijk earlier in the season when they played against each other, and it was a straight red. It
Yeah,
wasn't no
yeah.
yellow, or it wasn't a second yellow. It was a straight red. Uh, how Kai Havertz got away with that, I don't know.
Mm.
We'll never know at this rate now. But it is what it is. It's done. It is set in stone now. There's nothing much we can do. So just congratulations to Arsenal and referees as well.
And VAR too. Yeah.
They really did a good job.
Okay, okay. So before we go back to Arsenal, 'cause there's a lot of talking points there with Arsenal. There was something that we discussed on this show last week, and it was the French national team, bruv. So we discussed the French. So the squad. They
Mm.
named the squad for the World Cup. Now there was a surprise inclusion in that squad, and Tony and I we was sat here and think. Right, I wonder why. And that's when we really missed you. We're like, if Bruv was here, he would be able to explain this to us. And Tony was like, if Trevor was here, he'd be able to explain this to us. So, over to you. Can you guess which player is this surprise inclusion?
Well, it's going to be either Mateta, who has played for them a couple of times and scored a couple of times, or I think for
Yeah.
the first time, Maxence Lacroix. Now he's been
Okay.
selected as well. So is
Okay.
it one of those?
So which one are you going for?
I would go for Lacroix.
Right. Okay. Why is he a surprise inclusion? Or why would he be a surprise
Well,
inclusion in there?
you said it's a surprise inclusion. I didn't. You asked me why I think which one I think it
Oh,
was. If you were saying it was
all right.
surprise, I
All
think
right.
I think he's deserved his
Yeah.
call up because he's a pretty solid centre back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you was the coach or the manager, as they call them, and you had these two players, which one? And you had to choose just one, which one would you be choosing?
Well, Mateta hasn't had a good season really with us, I've got to say. And of course, we
Right.
went through a lot of bad politics in January where he suddenly said he wanted to be gone by the end of the transfer window, which upset
Right.
the way he did it, upset quite a lot of fans. And he hasn't actually had the best season, to be honest. Last season, he had a real purple patch and scored quite a few goals. He has scored some goals this year. And I think
Yeah.
we, the fans, have forgiven him because he puts everything into it.
Yeah.
It's difficult to answer that question because you're talking of a striker and you're talking of a
Yeah.
central defender. So I guess it
Yeah.
would depend on the makeup of the team. But if I had to say which one I would prefer to have in the team, I
Yeah.
would say it would be Lacroix Maxence. Yeah.
That's fine. That's where we're going. That's where we had a problem. The problem that we had was Mateta. How Mateta managed to make it into the French national team, I, I don't, I don't understand. I really don't, because I know French's got a lot of, good players.
Mm.
Mbappe
Yeah.
won, and quite a few of them are in the squad, in the PSG squad. Now to then wriggle through all that to then pick Mateta? Explain that to us, bruv. What could have been going through the manager's mind?
Well, a number of things, I suppose. But to be fair to him, last season, which culminated in Palace winning the FA Cup, as you know, and then the the Community Shield, he was good. I mean, when he first came to Palace, I don't know, 3 years ago, whatever it was, he wasn't very good, and he alternated with somebody else called Edouard, who'd come down from Celtic, and it was a choice between the two. They were not bad footballers, but they didn't really turn it on for Palace. They hadn't probably been in our Premier League, and therefore the pace of it came as a bit of a shock. But after a while, I think particularly after Edouard had gone, or maybe just before, Mateta started to impress and improve, and he made the centre forward spot his own. And I would say, if you go back to some of the games, quite a lot of the games last season, he scored quite a lot of goals. I should know how many it is, but I don't know off the top of my head. But he did score some important goals. And I think the other side to that, so I think that in itself, in any league, in any national side, the big difficulty for lots of teams is finding someone who is a natural goal scorer. Now, we've got people like Harry Kane, who's excellent, and we could name others. But league teams often find that difficult. Well, we felt at Palace we had found someone who was knocking in some goals. And maybe the French team felt, yeah, let's give him a go. And on his first game for France, he did score. And I believe he scored another one a couple of games later. So it's not as if he did nothing when he got there. The other thing with JP Mateta is he is a huge personality, and you may say, so what? But you know what? He's brilliant by all accounts in the dressing room. I mean, you whenever someone scores for Palace, he sort of tries to copy their celebration. He's just got that. He's like a grown-up toddler. He's like a big toddler, and coming off the pitch when Palace have won, they follow him down to the dressing room with the cameras, and he's screaming and shouting, and all the other players are sort of looking a bit embarrassed and saying, "Shut up, JP," and all that. But they love him to death. And so whether the French management team thought, yeah, we know from, because they obviously liaise with team managers over here as well, he'd be great in the dressing room. He sparks everybody, everyone, and they want to win. That's the most important thing. It's not a drab or a bit miserable today. He's alive and to the point. I mean, Glasner, I've sometimes said, he's so excitable. He says sometimes too much. I remember when Glasner said that in a press conference afterwards. Sometimes he's too much for people around him. But I can only think that may have gone in his favour. The fact that he is this bubbly personality who, I mean, Oliver Glasner also said, any new players that come to the club, on day one, JP is their best friend. He welcomes people in. He makes them feel welcome, and he just has got that way about him. I mean, we were there one day, at my little crowd of people, and I knew my Kimberly, my granddaughter. She's a Palace fanatic. She's off to Leipzig next week. And JP was walking just before a match. And I said, "Oh, JP, can you just get a selfie with Kimberly, please?" And he was charming. I mean, he said, "Yeah, that's okay." And he's a big guy as well, very tall. And but we got this great picture of him with Kimberly. So he's just got that nice way about him. He's a fans player, no doubt about it. And if that's part of the decision, maybe it is. Then good luck to him. I can't really give any other reasons because he hasn't had the best season this season. So, yeah, it's a difficult one.
Okay. Well, Tony, anything to say on Mateta? I know we talked about it last week, just you and me. But are you satisfied with the explanation that Brov's given?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, if anyone's going to understand what Mateta is, Trevor, he is the Crystal Palace fan.
Absolutely.
There's nothing much I can add on to that as well.
No.
So his explanation is as good as we're gonna get. So
I like the explanation actually, because we were scratching our heads last week, right?
Yeah. Because obviously from
also, There's the other
Gotcha.
thing just to throw in there, of course, because he did
Yeah.
get picked for the first time at the beginning of the season or the end of last season. I
Yeah.
think international managers, like other managers, they're probably decent people. So rather than having selected him and he scored a couple of goals in the, I don't know, 3 or 4 games he had, to then
Yeah.
discard him, even though he may not have had a particularly good season, it would seem possibly a bit harsh. And probably he also knows that, like all the managers in the World Cup, he's going to have to
Mm.
offload a few people for the final selection. So he may be picking people on the fringe like Mateta perhaps, and he will then discard him if when that time comes. So I think there's some
Yeah.
politics in that as well. You got to manage people. You can't pick them and then if they have a rough time, just drop them like a stone. Maybe some
Mm.
people can do that, but I think it's much better to be a bit of a diplomat and make people feel wanted, because that's
Mm.
going to get you success in the longer run, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Um, Now there's another big news. Pep Guardiola leaving City. I'm just going to read this from one of the articles. It says, Raging Pep Guardiola makes City stars attend emergency meeting to confirm exit. It says, Pep Guardiola reportedly held a late night group call with his players to admit he will leave Manchester City at the end of the season after his exit plan. Now, what are we thinking? What are we thinking? Why, first of all, it raises two questions. Why has he delayed it? Why hasn't he said it earlier? And two, why the secrecy? He's just telling his players, obviously, but we heard it, but some of us probably heard it before his players got
Mm.
to know about it. So what could be the motive behind that?
Tony,
I'll
do you
start
want to
with,
answer that?
yeah, I'll start with Tony.
Go on,
Yeah.
I'll give it a bit of a stab. Um, Maybe it's because especially when it comes to Premier League, when news comes out, no matter how small it is, it will go everywhere. So I feel like he did want to obviously talk to his players beforehand because that's what a manager would do. He wouldn't just go, "Yeah, I'm leaving," say it publicly, and that's that. I think he just wanted a little, like, at least a bit of like a heart to heart with his players. After all, they did win so many trophies together. And it was under Pep's regime in a sense that he told what his players wanted to do and he directed them in order to get the trophies that he wanted as well. So yeah, I would say that way probably because the emergency meeting was for the initial talking with the players and maybe even to like motivate them as well at the end a bit because obviously it was a race between Man City and Arsenal at the end of the day of the season. So maybe it was just a little spark, to help get that extra trophy under his belt to say, look, you know what, this is my last season with you guys. Let's win the Premier League and let's, go out with a bang.
Yeah, okay. Okay, bro.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, this is the first time he had at any club he hasn't won at least one trophy. Back to,
Right,
in other words, sorry, at least it'll be 2 years since he's won the league. Now he's not gone anywhere before where he's not won the league at least once in 2 seasons, if you see what I mean. So that's a
right,
strange one. Because the other thing here is he's still got, as far as I understand it, 1 year to go on his contract. So
right,
there's some surprise that he's maybe going with a year to go, especially as he now after last night is not hasn't won the league this season. And
mm,
they said he was raging, as you said, because it spilled out in the news, didn't it? I don't know whether it was the
mm,
Sun paper or whether it was Sky, but it was quite
mm,
clearly it was leaked somewhere, and I think he was angry because it had been leaked. And it probably came as a bit of a shock, let's face it, to the players, even though they may have thought, well, maybe he'll go. But with a year to go, you tend to think someone's going to see out that contract. So
mm,
it shocked them, and I felt watching the game. I don't know whether you saw it, both of you last night, but the game at Bournemouth. I thought they lacked something. I don't know whether it was I don't know, anticlimax, knowing they're this such a key person in the life of
Mm,
Manchester City is now going to be going. As are a number of the players, of course. We already know some of them are on the way, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens under Maresco because he's going there.
mm,
Ironically, a bit of a doppelganger for Guardiola, isn't he? It looked like the same man is carrying on, really. But
mm,
yeah, it's a shock in some ways. I mean, we all know. I think a year ago he had problems in his marriage, and I don't know whether that was ever repaired, but you got the impression that perhaps they were living a separate life, he and his wife, which may not be of our concern. But I thought maybe that could motivate him to leave after this season, as he is, to try and
mm,
repair things in that direction. Obviously, everybody has their own domestic issues, but yeah, he's been a fantastic manager in the Premier League. And let's face it, better or worse, most teams copy Man City's possession type football, even starting from the goalkeeper coming out, which sometimes is fraught with risk in lots of situations for any team. But that's the way
mm.
we play now. That's the nature of our football in the Premier League, which is very much instigated by Pep Guardiola, I think. And another aspect for me is that, and you can put Klopp into this as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't necessarily like Liverpool, but I thought Klopp again was a good figurehead for them. He was good for the Premier League, and for us to have Klopp and Guardiola, two of the probably best managers in the world, in our league for as long as we did, was brilliant. And whatever your football, whoever you like, we still had that great representation
Mm,
because Premier League is the biggest watched around the world, isn't it? So I think we're going to lose something there with Pep going. Let's
mm.
hope not too many other managers go, but it might get harder to see those world class managers if others don't come in to replace them. Because we think the Bournemouth manager, who's done a great job, he's obviously going somewhere.
Mm,
Glasner's going, so it's a bit of an exit this year. So it's going to
mm.
be interesting. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
actually a little bit sad that he's going, and I think we're going to see a few results now that reflect that next season with Manchester City.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I was going to come to. Um, who do you think? There's been rumors about what's his name? The former Chelsea
Maresca.
manager.
Maresca,
Yeah,
Maresca.
there's been a few
Yeah, I
rumors
think
about
that.
Maresca.
No, I think I'm not sure. It may even have been confirmed, but that
Oh,
is
right.
what's going to
Okay.
happen. Maresca, and as I
Yeah.
say, he's a spitting image of Guardiola, isn't he? He looks just the same. You never see them in the same room together. Let's face it.
No.
You never know. You never know.
Right. Okay. So Liverpool, Slot.
Yeah,
Um, what is his future like?
I don't think it's going to be long, to be fair.
No, no.
Uh, because, I mean, he won the league last year, but that
Yeah,
was under Klopp's team when everybody was still here. And
yeah.
now it's a completely different squad. I mean, if we could beat them at Anfield for the first time in 7 years, that tells you something. And
Hmm.
it's it's been a tough one for Slot because he spent what 500 mil on players.
Mm,
Some of them, well, half of them have been injured, and some of them haven't really performed in the Premier League as they should do, or
mm,
as they thought they would.
mm,
But yeah, I think it's down to a lot as well that he's let some players go that he shouldn't really have. Uh, yeah, I mean, some of the players that he's kept on here, like Curtis Jones and a few others. I think it's 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 fairly. I don't really know his managerial before which club he came from. I don't know his reputation really as much, so I can't really talk about his managerial type ways. But what I've seen, it's not as if you got like this really good Liverpool team, you should be
yeah.
able to manage them properly. You should be able to tell them
Yeah.
attack. But for me, it feels like it's almost like Southgate, almost like how they'll get the ball, get the goal, and then almost defend it in a sense. There's some
Yeah.
kind of, and even then, when they played against us at home at Old Trafford, they didn't really show any, how do you say, threat in a sense. The
Right.
both goals that they got because we made mistakes. Ahmad mistakenly passed the ball and it ended up going to Szoboszlai and scoring it. And then Le Mans made a mistake and they profited off of that. They never really showed any threat, more or less this entire season. A lot of like clubs that wouldn't really shine, especially at Anfield, they've
Yeah.
more or less opened them up and shown their weaknesses in a sense this season. So from that perspective for Slot, I don't really see a long future with him.
No.
You know?
No. Yeah. Bro?
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes this season. I think, as Tony said, he let one or two players go. Certainly, someone like Diaz on the left wing there. I think he let him go prematurely. I don't know whether Diaz was at the end of his contract. He could have been, and of course, he went to Bayern, didn't he? And is doing pretty well over there. So maybe one or two players, it hurt the team that they went. Also, I think, I mean, everybody knows that Salah was a great player. I think he's obviously lost a bit of pace this last year or so. And I don't think it helps that a player, he came out a few months ago, didn't he? Very complaining that he'd sort of been made the scapegoat and he wasn't starting some of the games. Well, yeah, that's the sort of thing he should be saying to the manager rather than the press or the media. And I don't think that helps. And even the other day, you may have seen that he posted something on X, did Salah. Basically, it came across as quite a criticism of the managers of Slot's style of football. And I imagine Salah will be picked for this coming weekend's game, or perhaps he won't, because maybe Slot wasn't over happy with what he said. But sometimes players can exert a bit too much pressure, and the fact is, Salah earlier this season wasn't quite playing the pace and the game he could play. So maybe he had to be dropped. And if you go back in time, probably the best player Liverpool ever had, Dalglish, he was actually dropped at a similar stage by the manager then of Liverpool. He didn't kick up a fuss. He was professional. He worked to get his place back, and so on. So although I like Salah, I think he's been a great player for Liverpool, and he'll go down in their records as one of the greats. I just think sometimes there's a lot of player power nowadays, which don't do a manager much good. So we know where the power often is with the players. But as for Slot, I think, yeah, he inherited Klopp's team. He won the league in his first year with, I suppose, Klopp's team, but he still had to be the manager and do what he had to do. And that should be on his CV as a credit. Started off this season very well, 5 straight wins, although some were a bit fortunate by all accounts. And then they had a very bad run and so on. So, yeah, I'm not sure he's covered himself in glory this past season. And as I think Tony said, and as you said, this is not the Liverpool this year that we've been used to seeing. They're not this fortress Anfield, and just the quality of their play. One or two of their players have come good throughout the year, like Szoboszlai and one or two others, but others have visibly fallen below their best, perhaps to do with age, perhaps not. But you have to ultimately look at the manager, say, is he motivating the team now? As I say, they spent a lot of money, a little bit of bad luck with injuries like to Isak, Ekitike now as well. But ultimately, if it's going reasonably well, then a team will overcome that. So, yeah, I think the likelihood is that Slot will go at the end of the season.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet because football is a funny thing, isn't it? They might leave him till the next season and then sack him after the first game. You never know. Yeah, we've
That
seen
would
that
be
happen.
unlikely, I think, to do that.
I mean, that's a very Man
Well,
United thing to do. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
all right. So this next one, It says inside La Liga's AI revolution and how managers use unique platform in game. So it says exclusive La Liga's AI revolution has led to a platform that allows for real-time analysis from the dugout. And an article from the Daily Star. It takes a closer look to the platform. Now, AI. Now, we used to seeing managers with the, drawing board and this doing the sketches and doing stuff like that. And I think it slowly migrated to, they have this handheld iPad now where, they can tap in. Now they're talking about a full-blown AI where, we can actually see, you can actually see who the weakest link is.
Mm.
Who the in real time. Now, is that a welcome development for the game, or is it just another case of, um, making the game less fun? What do you think? Who's going first?
I'll go then, shall I?
Okay.
I feel like it is almost like, evolution football wise. I mean, we went from full on boards and then we went to
Yeah.
iPads, and then I think now this is the next step in a sense of AI being in the game. I mean, we
Yeah.
had some sort of integration during, I think, what was it, the World Cup, where it's like semi-auto VAR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't
For
always accurate.
offsides, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was for
offside and stuff
offsides.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't really effective in a sense. I didn't really see it as wow, it's outstanding, it's working constantly. But I mean, AI is it's progressing through day by day. Um, and like I mean, whether we like it or not, it will be everywhere
Yeah.
around us
Yeah.
constantly as time goes on. So I mean, seeing it coming into football, it's not really a surprise now, really. I mean, it's already integrated in a lot of things. So I mean, it might help in a sense because some managers don't really see uh some of the weaknesses in the team. So for some of those managers, it will help them, especially maybe in like the smaller clubs in a sense, who can't, they're trying to figure out which link maybe that help them get the edge. That one player that might just bring them over to maybe even get into the top tens. Uh,
Hmm.
it could help, but also we don't know what the downsides of it yet, considering it's still new. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just for the managers for now. Yes, bruv.
Yeah, it's just for the managers. I suppose it depends how they define or how AI defines the weakest link, the weakest
Mm,
player. Now we see all sorts of stats now, don't we, for how far
mm,
they've run, how many passes they've made successfully. It's amazing the detail to which it goes in. But yeah, an AI can, let's face it, can do pretty much anything we want it to do. But I'm not so convinced really about it. Um, for example, if we assume that the definition of a really good player is someone who runs the greatest distance, which I suspect will come into it, because that is a
mm,
sign of, I mean, somebody like Bernardo Silva, he must have license to go all over the pitch. He's excellent, isn't he? He appears as a central defender one minute, then he's out on the wing, and he's been so effective for Manchester City. It's amazing. And of course, he's about to leave as well. So
mm,
he would, I guess, get a very good score on the AI monitoring stats. But what about
mm,
somebody, for example, like Messi? Now, okay, that's the other end of the spectrum in the sense of activity. But what would AI say about him? Because you could look at Messi, not just in the latter stages of his career like now, but some could almost say he's a lazy player. He wasn't tracking back defending. That wasn't his style at all. He would just wait for the ball to come to him.
mm,
Everything seemed to revolve around him when the ball was there. And of course, he had this magical ability to get round players and do all sorts of things most mortal players could never do. But I suspect, I could be wrong, but I suspect an AI look at his stats, defining is he one of the best, would say, well, yeah, he's pretty good because he scores some goals and he can dribble, but actually he doesn't run very far. So again, it all depends on the way they run this, and I would be a bit cynical, to be honest, of weakest player. I mean, it'll put a lot of pressure on players to run more and perhaps do things against their natural game. But I mean, as a kind of a general point on this, and I know it's not necessarily AI related, but as Tony said, it's the evolution going through football and through everything else. When you see Arteta or Glasner and sometimes Pep on the sideline, arms waving to their players, do this, whistling and shout all the time. Really, I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. A lot of managers don't do that, but those three in particular, they do. And I do wonder just how often the player they might try to be catching the attention of, it will deliberately not look over at them. I mean, for goodness sake, these guys are playing football. They train all the week. They're responding as well as creating proactively, hopefully, with the things they train on and the coaches tell them, they're set piece coaches, but also they're reacting to what's happening. And I don't quite know why one of those managers thinks from the sideline that they know better what someone should be doing. It's not just everybody up at the end or everybody back. It is more that they seem to want to get involved in every part of the game, every move of the game. And I've never really understood that. As far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not something Alex Ferguson ever did. I think he used to just sit. He may have stood up sometimes, but I don't believe he was pointing to the players, telling them what to do. If he went through a stage of doing that, then I'm wrong. And it just brings to mind the one thing about Alex. He would sit on the sideline there, and then I think it was Mike Whelan, one of his assistants, who then decided to burst a balloon that had come to their feet. It made Alex jump out of his skin. Mike laughed, and Alex really sort of gave him a roasting or a look at least. And that was one of the funniest things of that season, I thought. But no, Alex didn't. He was probably the best manager we've ever had in the Premier League. I think he used the thing of fear. He put the hair dry treatment and all that. But it worked at that time for him and his teams. They became invincible. And, I didn't see him shouting instructions from the touchline. Now, whether he would have liked this AI revolution, I don't know. Maybe I get the impression he'd say, "Oh, a load of rubbish. I'll tell the players what they need to know and what they need to do." So yeah, it's a thing of its time, and we have to look at it and live with it. But a bit like VAR, it's going to have its problems as well.
Right. Would the benefits outweigh the
You hope so.
problems?
Yeah, you hope so.
That'll be a good thing then, wouldn't it?
We only hate VAR when it's not against your team. That's the only time when we're with VAR. Any other time, we're like, nah, scrap it. We don't want it.
Well, perhaps we're coming on to VAR in a minute, because I don't wholly agree with that, Tony. I think there are real issues with VAR, but we're not getting there yet, I suppose, are we? So I'll wait till you introduce the subject.
Okay. Now, so the next one is UEFA left furious as TNT Sports make major Champions League final decision. This is the decision. The Champions League final will not be broadcast for free in the UK for the first time in 34 years, with TNT Sports reportedly irritating UEFA by opting to charge fans to watch the game. How much of a difference would that make? I don't ever remember any of the UEFA games being on telly for free. Do you? Does anyone? Am I missing something?
You said championship, right?
Champions League.
Oh, Champions League.
So that's the champ.
I do remember it being free on like YouTube and stuff before even I had Sky Sports or anything, or TNT. The final.
Right.
I mean, usually I always remember at least a final of a game, like could be Carabao, could be FA, whatever. It would always be for free, like usually on YouTube.
All right.
But, I mean, it's FIFA and UEFA all over again, isn't it? They love money, so whichever way they're gonna want you to pay for watching it now. So
yeah.
That's how it is. FIFA's always loved more money than even caring for the players. So if they can
Yeah.
get more money out of something, they will. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. Just before coming to you, bro, I'm just gonna say this is only for the UK. So, you want to comment on that, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that this applies, and I think the same applies to the Europa League, which I think is
Oh,
tonight, isn't it? And of course, Palace's game next Wednesday on the conference. I don't know about that one, but yeah,
mm,
TNT. Well, I mean, I've not really paid too much attention because I do have access to TNT.
mm,
Um, and of course, it's gone as part of HBO Max, I think now as well. So there's been big changes. Whether that's
mm.
triggered this idea of anybody else having to pay for it, but yeah, I don't know. Most things nowadays you do have to subscribe to. If there's a big boxing match, they normally do a box office. You have to pay to see it, I suppose. So I can sort of understand the top games culminating at the end of the season. You
Yeah,
just you if you want to watch it, you have to pay for it, I suppose. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have any other thing to say. The question would be if I didn't have access to TNT, would I
Mm,
buy it? And I think for those games, and I certainly would the Champions League. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's Champions League's big, isn't it? Now, so this one, I've not really had time to read the specifics about it, but it says Rooney tells disrespected Slot to deny selfish Salah Liverpool farewell. So Mohamed Salah is set to beat to Liverpool on Sunday in his final Reds game. But when Rooney has slammed that the selfish star should be denied his farewell after disrespecting Anslot. What does anybody have any details on what this story is about? The disrespect to Slot by Salah?
yeah, apparently he
Yeah.
said in the dressing room that some stuff he was going on a rant that how things have changed and stuff like that. Uh, and it could be maybe a bit of selfishness because we all know he's leaving at the end. So him pulling that pin on the great end and just dropping it in the dressing room while he goes,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is kind of. I mean, considering that the season that's been going on, it hasn't been a good season for Liverpool at all. And then on top of that, this one of the biggest stars in Liverpool saying these
Mm,
things. He was the captain as well, wasn't he? So I mean, even if he wasn't the captain, I don't understand how captaincy works in Liverpool side. But even then, he was always leading the team. He was a captain, even if he didn't wear the armband. He was still a captain of a sense. So for someone who a lot of players even looked up to say some things about dressing room, how things have changed. I don't exactly know everything he said, but it is kind of like, why are you trying to leave on a bad note? In a sense, you've won all these things, you've helped Liverpool. Just leave on a good note, in a sense. Even if you don't agree with some things, fair enough. Not every player is gonna agree with everything what's going on, but at least
mm,
say, look, I know I'm leaving. I just want to leave on a high note. Don't want to say anything bad, negative. Just keep it there. But you know,
mm, mm. Yes, bruv.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned a little while ago that he put on this tweet, didn't he? It was it didn't mention slots, but it was quite critical of the way Liverpool perhaps have slipped, and they're not this fortress type team anymore.
Mm,
One of the top teams and so on. And I think I said that my own view was that Salah should have said those things if he wanted to say them to Slot. Say it to him face to face. Keep it out of the public eye, because this is
mm,
exactly what Salah did a few months ago. And by and large, he was roundly criticised, if you look back, by the media, by people like Jamie Carragher, who obviously is quite an influencer about Liverpool. I think they,
mm,
they, they seem to feel he spoke out of turn at a time when a club doesn't need the dirty washing aired in public, so to speak. So it's almost like he got annoyed about all that bad press he got, and just
mm,
wanted to leave, get his own back, if you like, on Slot, who I think he felt got the sympathy of much of football. So yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I did read his tweets. I can't remember it word for word. It was quite long, but it was basically saying he's loved his time there. He will always feel part of Liverpool. All the good things you would say. But he then, the big middle paragraph seemed to be critical of Slot's regime.
mm,
There's no question about that, the style and various other elements of criticism. So to come back to
mm,
your thing about Rooney, I actually agree with him. I'm not, no, I don't know whether I do agree with him. I don't think, if Rooney said he shouldn't start Salah, don't give him his
mm,
farewell, I'm not sure I
mm,
agree with that. I think Slot should be bigger than that, which I think he will be, to give Salah his last day, his last match there. But I
mm.
understand where Rooney is coming from. I think, as Tony said, he's dropped a bit of a grenade in the middle of all this, and he's done it. But
Yeah.
he did it, back at Christmas, before Christmas,
Mm,
and I don't think it helps to have players airing their discomfort
mm,
and their emotional traumas in public. I don't think that's right for the manager. Players have
mm.
enough power nowadays, and they need to contain that sometimes. So yeah, I'm a bit with Rooney in terms of Salah's let himself down. He really has.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that and I thought, not again. You should have learned a lesson from the first one. But obviously, if you've got deep-rooted grievances that you need to air, like you said, air it privately, but don't air it in public. But whatever, anyway, maybe his emotions got the better part of him. Now,
Mm.
Xabi Alonso on the verge of becoming named. I think he's already been named the manager, I think.
Yeah,
Xabi Alonso.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
Chelsea. Yeah.
yep.
Chelsea manager. What do we make of him?
I don't know. He did really well for Leverkusen. He did really well.
Huh?
And then after that, when he went to Real Madrid, you you would expect more or less the same results. But he didn't. He had a super team, a very good team, you know, and to be able not to really win trophies with that team, it's a bit concerning in a
Yeah,
sense. So and at the end of the day, they fired him in a sense. They said you didn't do anything. Uh, you didn't win. Even the El Clasicos, one of the biggest derby matches, he he lost all of them. He didn't win one. So to go to Chelsea when they themselves are in a bit of a struggle as well,
Hmm.
you don't know really how it's going to work out, especially because the Premier League is different to Europe. It's very different. It's fast paced. There's not
Hmm.
really room for where you can play like I said last time, tiki taka player type style. It's all
Hmm.
direct play from the back, go on the
mm.
counter attack, get that goal. It's all very fast paced and attacking. And with Chelsea's front, it's a bit of a debate with that one as well. Chelsea's front isn't exactly the strongest out of them all either. So, I mean, it's going to be a challenge for sure for Xabi Alonso. Also maybe a
Hmm.
bit of a redemption arc if he wants, in order to, in his managerial career as well.
Yeah. Bruv.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Tony has said there. What did surprise me going back a few weeks, a few months, I'm sure we can remember that Xavi Alonso, he started making comments to the effect that he was going to be the new Liverpool manager at the end of this
Hmm.
season, which I found strange that he would have be betraying a confidence, which it clearly wasn't because it's not
Hmm.
happened. But the fact that he was saying that, okay, he was a big star at Liverpool, wasn't he, as a player? So he obviously would like the idea of going back to manage them. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think it was very presumptive on his part. I think he was going to go back. There may be things have been said which implied he would be on the list or something like that. But he
Hmm.
had egg on his face because it clearly didn't happen.
Yeah.
Again, he may well turn out to be a really good manager. I don't think at this stage. Yeah, he did okay at Leverkusen, but we can't say at this stage he's going to be a great manager. And it just seems to
Hmm.
me to be another shot in the dark by Chelsea. They seem intent on taking on people and giving them 6-year contracts, which I think has to do with the PSR rules, they can effectively spread certain payments, which make it easier to buy players, etc. But it does also mean, presumably, when they sack somebody after a few months, they got to pay them a lot of money. I mean, in the case of Rosinia, he won his first 4 games, I think, so he had a flying start, and then not many more victories after that. Again, I felt okay. There's a connection between Chelsea and Rosinia's club before Strasbourg. So you could almost understand why they went for him, but it hasn't worked, as their previous ones haven't worked. And I don't know, life seemed a bit more stable under the Russian owner who employed Mourinho, of course. But yeah, I'm if I were a Chelsea fan and I was watching Chelsea last night, and okay, they beat Tottenham, didn't they? But I didn't think they were great, and some pundits were tipping them to be at the top this season or near the top, and they haven't really performed. So it's like things are not quite right as they should be. So going for somebody with a big name, Xabi Alonso, he could turn out to be brilliant, but it could be another example of kind of okay, get the next person in, and it's someone who doesn't have an established pedigree, certainly in the Premier League. He may have done pretty well elsewhere. But yeah, I think it's another risk one. Instead of which, why not go for somebody, even if they went for Jose Mourinho again, who I think may or may not be leaving Benfica, I'm not sure. But he's a personality. We know he does win trophies. I think I'd have gone for him and said, yeah, come back and do your magic with us again. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, he's going to Real Madrid.
See what happens. Yeah.
Going
Anyway,
where?
this is all we've got.
Real Madrid.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is all we've got time for in this segment of the football referee. So we're going to switch over to the next segment where we'll discuss Thomas Tuchel, Lewandowski, the VAR. There's lots more to come. So stick with us as we transition into the second segment. I've been Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz.
I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
And I'm Tony, and they call me the Enforcer.
So join us on the second segment. All right. So